Good morning. Happy Friday. It is yours truly, Tyler. Hopefully, everybody is having a great start to their Friday morning. I am excited for the weekend. It's so good to have you all here. So, for those of you that may be tuning into the show for the first time, Ty's Take today is your source for entertainment, lifestyle, opinionated topics, and of course, stories that impact you in your community. It is so good to have you all here. I am so excited for the weekend. I'm also super excited to introduce you all to my amazing guest co-host today. She's got so many stories to share with the world. And speaking of her, we're going to go ahead and get my guest co-host on the live. So give me just a moment to get... We'll adjust our shots accordingly and we'll get started with today's show. Happy Friday, everybody. Hey.
Hi,
How are you? It's so good to see
I'm
you.
amazing. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I've been ready for the show all week, so it's so good to actually finally get to see you. Thank you so much once again for joining us today. For those of you that don't know, joining us as our guest co-host is Mindy Domke. She is a proud mother of two, a graduate of Western Michigan University, a cancer survivor, and a lifelong social justice advocate. So Mindy has her hands busy with community activism. If you're not familiar with some of the things that we highlight here on the show, we talk about the entertainment, we talk about the lifestyle, we talk about what's trending, but we also like to share organizations and just share people's stories and connect people, especially people that are out here in the community and in the world even, making a difference and speaking for those underserved communities or for those communities that sometimes unfortunately don't have a voice. Mindy, speaking of that, you were a couple years ago, you were invited to speak to the Detroit Police Department, correct?
Yes,
So can you share, before we dive into today's topics, can you tell us a little bit more about your community activism?
sure. So I start my first protest was to protest the war in Iraq when I was a young adult, and I caught the bug for social activism. I had an uncle who was head of the Cesar Chavez Foundation for a number of years here in Michigan. So I definitely come from a family of activists. And there's always in life people who are underrepresented, people who don't feel like they have a voice. And I strongly believe that anyone who does have a voice and can do any sort of good or make any sort of positive change, we should be doing that.
Absolutely. And I applaud you and commend you for
Thank you.
everything that you've done thus far. And I'm excited to see what's to come when it comes to your activism in the community. Very appreciative. Much love and respect. Um,
I'm so thankful to be here, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Yes, coffee. I feel you. It's one of those coffee. So I'm gonna try and drink it without making a mess. Like a little. But so I'm gonna we have a major announcement, but I want to wait until we see if Derrick is able to join us. So we're actually gonna put that on the later down the line, if that's cool. Just because I want to give him a chance to see if he's able to join us. But okay, so I read this recent study, and I want to know your thoughts. According to Pew Research Center, women have earned just 84% of what men made when you compare to the finances in 2020. So that difference has pretty much stayed consistent basically for approximately like the past 15 years. So I want to know, we see all the time, places hiring and offering sign-on bonuses. But there's still, unfortunately, that disadvantage, especially for people who identify as women. Not making the same amount, regardless of their skill set, when it comes to being compared to men. So I wanted to know your thoughts on this recent study. Basically, the study said that headstrong women, independent men, are getting paid less.
Yeah, so it's kind of ridiculous when we look at the studies because two people doing the same job with the same education level should be making the same amount. But we know that it's still 82 cents on the dollar for every woman. If you add in that this woman is a woman of color, or if it's a transgender woman, or if it's an immigrant woman, those numbers drop dramatically. So there's a lot. I just lost my thought. Sorry, Tyler.
No worries. No worries.
Um,
Yes, definitely that discrepancy. Not only if between people who identify as men versus women, but also like you said, the disadvantages for people of color or the Asian community or people who identify within the transgender community, even the LGBTQ community. And so basically, it says that the discrepancy is often attributed to education, occupation, and experience. But I feel like in so many cases, we see it with people when we just talk to like our friends and family or people that we know, and we're talking just about our jobs and our employment. It just baffles me that like you and I, for example, we can just say you and I, we could have been through the same upbringing, the same educational system, and still, I mean, because I'm a man, that shouldn't signify, that shouldn't dictate what your skills are, how you're looked at as an employer just because I'm a male.
Correct. And there's a few factors that influence this. For instance, women tend to be childcare providers more often than men. So we see more women in the workforce working part-time, and that equates to lower wages as well. Women tend to work 40 hours or less, whereas men tend to work 40 plus hours more often. So still, that's seen as negative impact. Women historically are seen as people who put their family first and not their job, and men, it's the opposite. So we know that anyone can be a child care provider. We know that both men, women, people who are non-binary can be amazing child care providers. We can all care about our family. We can all care about our job. And we need to get this taken care of. We have been trying to pass legislation to get fair pay since the 1990s. The 1990s. It's ridiculous. And time again, when this legislation is brought up, we think that it's going to go through, and it doesn't. So if this is something that you care about, find out about this legislation. Find out who's representing you. We all have a voice, and nothing's going to change unless we all make sure that it changes.
Absolutely. And just to add on to what you just said, Mindy, I think, it's so crazy to me that, there's a lot of people that don't know who their city council members are. They don't know what type of boards and committees that their local cities or neighborhoods have. They don't know who their state representatives or state legislators are. And like, it just, and this information is all online. You can find out from your local community all the way up to the state level, and then you can reach out to them. Not saying that it might not be easy, but I can tell you that I'm in contact with some of our local elected officials, and definitely I think it's important to use our voice, just like yourself and I. And I do want to mention also that they also mentioned in the study, researchers, economists from the University of Chicago and Northwestern University also mentioned that this is something that begins early on. So, like I said previously, it all comes back to, unfortunately, the experience or the lack thereof, or what opportunities you had growing up. And now, and it's that fight for equality, the fight for same pay regardless of how you identify as a person. And I applaud everybody that is still fighting for this fight. Hopefully at some point we will be able to get to where we should have been years ago, like you said. On that note, Derrick is just joined the live, so I want to bring him on the live with us, because I got a major announcement for you all. Mindy knows, Derrick knows, a couple other people know, but I want to go ahead and get him in here as well. So give me just a moment, see if Instagram will work on my side today. And let's get Derrick on. There we go. I just invited him. What's up?
What's up, Ty, my guy?
Going on? What's going on? Good morning. How are you?
Oh man, nothing but good things. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you and
Of
Princess
course.
hard at work. I see your guys' lives all the time.
Oh man, I'm never not working. I just fired up the Cricut. I got some designs cooking up right now for Indie Lux Designs too, man. I'm always on the grind. You know me.
Absolutely, Derrick. By the way, Mindy also, I don't know where she is on your screen, but she's over here on my screen. She's
I
Hi.
think they get that right.
she's joining us today as our So, Derrick, if you could tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go ahead and make that major announcement.
Well, first of all, you guys need to know how this journey between me and Ty. I was living in Southfield about a year ago, I think it was. Little over a year ago, and we met just through a random friend. I was throwing events at my house every week called Church of Justice to try to, bring awareness to unfair treatment of black and brown people, and obviously George Floyd's passing and everybody who'd passed due to cops' hands. So we were putting signs in the yard and popping up a pop-up tent and grilling out, and people could come and hang out and speak their mind and do their thing. So I met Tyler, and we were talking about doing a podcast at some point, and we were trying to mill around ideas on how to get our voices out there and how to get out there in the media. And look at us a year later. So I want to applaud you, brother. Thank you so much for putting in the grind, putting in the work, and I see you, and hopefully everybody else sees the work you put in as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was telling Mindy earlier before we went on live, I'm like, it's crazy. We were talking about this for, back and forth for a while, and then
Yeah.
life happens, we get busy. You have you got your hands in so many different
Oh
projects.
yeah. But
Um,
that's the beautiful thing, though. Like, people say life happens, but if you're always on the grindstone, life will happen in the way this happened. It wasn't like we just stopped talking to each other. We were both busy grinding, doing our thing, and look where it brought us right back together. So it's beautiful. Keep your head down, keep your nose to the grind, and no matter what, things are going to get hard sometimes, but no matter what, if you're really meant to be there, it'll work itself out. Trust me.
Absolutely. On that note, so tell us a little bit about 93.97 and where people can listen to you and Princess.
Yeah. 93.97 Network, man, they've been rocking for a really long time. I was in LA in 2013 as an artist, fresh out of the military, and I was trying to be a hip hop artist. I was about to make it big. I went down to the land of dreams, So the first radio station that ever interviewed me was 93.97 Network, the Good Time Show. And it was Princess of All and Jay the Great at the time. And, over the years, I stayed in contact with them, obviously not as close, but I got the opportunity in October to go co-host. And I'm like, man, I can't believe y'all remember me still. Like, I've been looking up to this show for 8 years, and it's been, a great time watching. So I went and jumped on and co-hosted, and they decided to grab me full time. So it's an independent network that, think of like iHeartMedia and like satellite radio and all that. We're in the same game. So we're trying to take that top spot. We've got the radio stations. We've got the U Store, which I'm now the creative director of, which focuses on independent artists and really all kinds of artists. But I mainly wanted to focus on the independent artists that don't usually get that chance to shine unless they have some major backing or whatever the case may be. We're here. If you got talent, you're going to get put on. I'm going to play your music. I'm going to interview you. Like, this is a place where we can all eat. So I'm going to make sure that happens. And luckily, here soon, you
Yes.
want to go ahead and drum roll?
Yes. So for those of you, this is the official announcement. I will be taking Ty's Take today on 93.97 Network. So you will be able to, yes. So you will be able to catch Ty's Take today, not only here on Instagram, Ty'sTakeToday.com, but we're also going to be launching our show on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's every Saturday beginning March 5th. So you'll be
That's
able
beautiful.
to we're going to take some of the conversations that we talk during our Friday lives, and we're going to go in depth and talk further those discussions on Saturdays. We're going to have a mix of entertainment, news, some topics to get you thinking, and then like Derrick said, also like local artists. If you want to get in, if you want to hear your music on our station, reach out to Derrick or myself or
Yeah.
Princess. it's about to be crazy. I'm telling you, we're gonna,
It's gonna be nuts though.
we're gonna be doing it.
And
So
just so y'all know, like a lot of people think of regular radio, like prime times and whatnot, like seven to nine prime time. But no, every day is prime time. Every time slot is prime time. On Saturdays, along with you, there's a show by a man called Marcus Divine. Now, you may not have heard his name, but I'm sure you've heard songs that he's written and produced. He was just on the Millennium Tour with Omarion and all of them producing. He works with Escape. He's worked with tons of people. So you and him are the shows on Saturday. So please give yourself a round of applause, sir. You ain't just in no random spot. You were up there with a great. So I think it's a really good spot for you. I'm really excited to hear what you bring to the station. I already know what you got going. But this is a different platform, y'all. It's not Instagram. It's not Facebook. It's not Market Radio. This is 93.97 Network, where the real comes out. You get to speak your mind. We're here for the people. The people come speak their minds. We're a network of the people. It's time for us to take media by storm and take it back.
absolutely. So you all can catch Derrick and Princess Monday through Fridays, 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can download the 93.97 Network app or visit 93.97network.com.
It's the bomb. Make sure you guys follow me as well. Look out for Indie Lux Designs coming soon. I should be dropping it officially, I don't know, any day now, whenever I decide to drop it. But I'm working, y'all. I'm working.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll be listening today at 3. No, today at 4. Today at 4. So
Tune in.
I said what up, and I will be you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining us today and popping in. We'll be in contact,
brother.
All right, Derrick.
Y'all have fun. Nice to meet you.
And Derrick, you might have to end it.
I will.
Okay. Princess just joined us. Hey, all right. So for those of you that that just might be tuning into the broadcast, once again, Ty's Take Today will be premiering on March 5th on 93.97 Network. So we're gonna be taking the conversations here on Instagram and diving in and getting a little deeper into them. So be sure to download the app, 93.97 Network, and 93.97network.com. Mindy, when I tell you, I am so excited. I've worked in radio in the past. I've done voiceovers and imaging, so I'm just so excited to be back in the game, you know?
I think that I'm having a mom moment here. This is, we met, if people don't know the story about how we met, I volunteered to help you out on a project when you were, how old were you when we did that, when you did that video?
Ooh, that was years ago. Thanks.
Years ago, and we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about how that was like forever ago.
Right?
Yes. It's all about, I'm telling you all, it's all about how you network, who you meet, who you run into. People, you know, you can build lifelong friendships and connections. I want to dive into our topics. I know we just like, everybody's like, oh, yes. I'm so excited. But so a recent Metro Times article, the title captured my attention. It says, "Toxic Cocktail. Your drinking water is unsafe, and it's not just lead." So for those of you, especially here in Michigan, even on a national level, a lot of us are familiar with the Flint water crisis, and apparently Benton Harbor has had some problems with their drinking water as well. Basically, a study was done, and it shows it. They are basically, you can, go online. We're going to link the website on TysTakeToday.com, so you can go ahead, check it out, enter in your zip code, and see how much contamination particles is in your drinking water. I did it for my location, and it came back with like 6 different contaminations. So I've always been one of those people that prefer like to drink bottled water. I know some people don't believe in that either, but even like my coffee today, like when I tell you after reading that article and seeing, for myself, it's bottled water in this coffee. Like I put it in the kettle, out the bottle. I'm not playing. You just see so many people, and we're talking about, so many different health conditions, such as cancer and brain damage, liver disease, and crazy thing, when I brought up this article to you, you're very familiar with this topic, correct?
I am. So this is a side project of mine, is the water quality in Michigan. Anybody who is a Facebook friend of mine has probably seen a lot of overshares of this chemical called PBB. In Michigan is St. Louis, which is in the middle of Michigan, right next to the school that I went to. Growing up, there was a chemical plant called Vesicle Chemical Plant. There was an employee there who mixed up a fire retardant that they were selling into animal feed. So this chemical company was both making feed, sending out feed for animals, and was selling fire retardant. The ingredients got mixed. This chemical was sent out to Michigan farms and caused the death of cattle, caused people to be sick. And this was in 1973. I think by 1978, it had been closed down and became a Superfund site. It's one of the most toxic sites in all of the United States, and very few people actually know about it. This chemical, which should not at all be in our systems, is found in 60% of Michigan residents to this day. Every single Great Lake, every single river has PBB elements, and currently none of our filters take this ingredient out. So there's very limited studies on this chemical that's in all of our drinking water, and when we're talking about things that are as devastating as lead in our water, which we know about, it's equally alarming that there's this chemical that we know in Michigan in particular is all throughout our state. Very few people have been tested for this. There have been very few research studies to see what the long-term effects are, and to know that 60% of people in Michigan test higher for this chemical than 95% of the rest of the population in the United States. Everyone should know about PBB, just like everyone knows about lead and how important it is to know if you have lead in your water. In 2007, there was a scare with Thomas toys that had lead paint, which immediately called for the recall of all of these. And it's due to people caring about the issue. So if you care about your drinking water, you should definitely go to the site, look up your zip code, find out exactly what's in your drinking water, and figure out what that's going to do to your body, what impact that's going to have on your family, and ways that you can get safe access to drinking water.
Absolutely, and it said in the article that over the past 2 years, 56 new contaminants have been identified in drinking water, which includes PFFAs, a class of synthetic chemicals, pesticides, radioactive materials, water disinfectant byproducts. Crazy enough that I want to point out as well that the fact that where there's no pick and choose who's impacted by this. The study said that the contamination crosses racial and class lines and is prevalent in higher income communities as it is in lower income ones. So I know different issues impact different communities, economically, financially. But I want to make it clear that this article at least is pointing out that there's no divide when it comes to racial or financial. There's no separation. This is an issue that needs to be talked about. It's impacting so many people. And I do want to point out that the drinking water in 39 communities in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties have 10 or more contaminants that exceed the EWG standards. Hazel Park, Dearborn Heights, St. Clair Shores, Roseville, Waterford Township, Melvindale, and Woodhaven are the communities that have the most. So if you live, and I specifically point out these communities not to, but I wanted to make sure that we mention those communities because those are the communities that are at the highest risk currently. And if cities typically send out their water reports annually. So be sure to, like we said, it all goes back to using your voice. Now that Mindy and I are bringing this up to you all, take it to the next step. It'd be great to see people contacting their city officials, their public water departments. If you want to see change, which it needs to be done, then we need to be talking to these officials because that's their responsibilities to get the job done. We need to bring our issues and our opinions to them. Otherwise, it's overlooked.
Absolutely. And for most of my life, I took my water quality for granted. It was something that we just assumed was safe. We drank it, didn't really think much about it until the Flint water crisis. And now after that, how many communities have replaced their lead pipes? How many communities are going out of their way to make sure that they have safe water? Sometimes it takes a catastrophe for all of us to actually look at the problems, listen, and do something to change. So absolutely, if you have an issue with your drinking water, this is where you can get involved. Look to see what you can do. Make the public aware, make your neighbors aware of the water quality. Make this an issue that we're all caring about, because unless we all come together and say something and force this issue to be important, we're not going to see change.
Absolutely. And I want to also point out that I just found mind-boggling to me is the passing of the Safe Drinking Water Act was passed back in 1976. So for those of you that don't know, the EPA are responsible for overseeing water quality, but they have not implemented any new tap water standards in nearly 20 years. So we're talking about there's been no different changes, no updates, no in 20 years. They also haven't had it. They have not added any new contaminants. I can't say that word. Since 2000, and it's 2022.
Well, I hear you, Tyler. I told you that this is an issue that I care about when we're talking about PBB, which is what I focus on usually when I'm talking about water quality. There is only one agency that does testing for PBB for Michigan residents, and it's held by Emory University. I hope we can link the site in the comments. If you're concerned about PBB in particular in your body, Emory University is the only place where you can get tested to see if what your personal levels are, what your family's levels are.
And that was PBB, and then Emory University is the.
Yep, Emory University.
Okay, and I'll make sure to get that posted.
I'll send you the link.
Absolutely. And then I know Gina is in the chat asking what's the site again. So I am going to have the site posted up directly on tiestaketoday.com. We're going to make it simple for you. We'll have a recap of where you can read the full Metro Times article, as well as where you can go and type in your zip code. And then from there, it broke it down for me into like a little, I think it was like a little pie chart. And it tells you, what's been found in your drinking water. So moving forward, I hope people get involved. Visit this website. It's all going to be up on tiestaketoday.com. And like Mindy mentioned, scientists do recommend using filters for tap water, but unfortunately, this just isn't simply enough to prevent many of these things that are causing all of these health problems. It's something that you can do, but unfortunately, the technology is just not there. So I think the biggest thing for this topic would be to educate yourself. Know what's going on, know what's in your drinking water specifically, and then use your voice, send letters, make phone calls to your elected officials, and demand it, because clean water advocates are calling on federal funding. It's infrastructure. That's the issue. Some of these, pipes and things haven't been updated or evaluated, and it's, like you said, something that I think a lot of people might overlook or take for granted. But the Flint water crisis is just one of the, it brought national attention. And everything's still not fixed in Flint either.
That's true. when you have a crisis, there's no overnight fix. This is going to be a problem in Flint for years to come. It's a problem in America, like with lead pipes. We need more funding for research. We need more people speaking up. And we need to know how to have safe drinking water, because with all of these chemicals, there's so much we don't know. We don't know the short-term effects, the long-term effects, none of that.
Absolutely. And don't mind me, you all. I am trying to, on that note, I'm trying to get it set up so that we can share a video. Oh, bear with them. I'm gonna see if Instagram will let us share this clip for our next topic. So many good topics. I could have so many lengthy conversations about all of these topics. All right, so open this. All right, let's see. I'm testing my social media skills right now. All right, I think I got it. Yes, coffee break. Okay. Instagram used to be so simple, and now it's like you can't. I just want to share. And if we can't do it, we can go ahead and still talk about it. I just remember I hate when they do like updates to social media, because before you press like a button and share it, it says just tap the direct icon at the bottom of the screen and send your live to friends. No, that's not what I'm asking. Can you share? How do I? Okay, so if anybody on the chat maybe knows, I'm gonna give it just a second, just because I really want to share these two clips with you guys, because it'll give you a further insight into the topics that we're discussing. If anybody knows how to share a video from your gallery, I really want to share this video with you guys. How to share? How to screen share? I think I might have found something. With Milton. Go ahead and see if this will help us. Thank you for your patience, and thank you so much for joining me. I promise we're gonna get it figured out. Okay, and then okay, you know what? I don't know how to do it, and it's not letting me turn off. Yeah.
Can't you screen share? I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I am trying to, because I have the clip in my gallery, but it's not. Okay. Sippin' C's joining us. Hey, happy Friday. All right, I'm gonna try one more thing, and then if not, it's okay. All you need to do is open Instagram and go to the upload tab in the middle of the bottom menu. Choose the library tab for your camera roll to pop up. It's not an option. All right, well, Instagram needs to get it together. Kaylee Prey is watching. Hey, thank you all so much.
Hey, Kaylee.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna figure it out for another show, because I want to continue with the show. I do apologize. I was just really trying to share a video with you all. But so things are hot right now at The View. ABC News has announced that comedian and The View host Whoopi Goldberg is currently suspended for 2 weeks after she repeatedly said during an episode of the show that aired on Monday that the Holocaust was not about race. Mindy, your thoughts before we dive into the topic in full?
So reading the article and seeing the clips, first of all, I had a total WTF moment. um, you know, it's really hard to get to kind of comprehend what headspace she might have been in to say something like that. She did have an apology. She was suspended for what, 2 weeks over the comment. Um, we have a long ways to go. We have, empathy goes a long way. I think it shows that if you're not in the situation or familiar with the situation, anybody can make assumptions. And here we are. I believe that it was definitely out of ignorance. She wasn't trying to, be a horrible person or make wrong statements, but it happened. And you have to be accountable for what you say, especially when you're on live TV.
Absolutely. And so, if you didn't see the clips or you weren't watching the episode, just a brief description of what happens during the segment. They were talking about a Tennessee school district's decision to remove a Pulitzer Prize winning graphic novel about the Holocaust from its curriculum. And this topic about Whoopi is going to segue into a deeper topic that we're going to be talking about after, where it's about curriculum and school districts banning certain books for certain reasons. But Whoopi had said that the Holocaust was, quote, about man's inhumanity to man. She said that it wasn't about race. She dived in with her topics, and she was basically saying that quote, but these are two white groups of people. This is white people doing it to white people, so y'all going to fight amongst yourselves. Um, the president of ABC News said that Whoopi would be suspended for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. Like you said, my take on it is, I think, in that moment, they have an allotted amount of time to state their opinions, also with each co-host trying to get their 15 seconds of opinion in. So I think the layout is, it's the structure of the show in itself is probably very stressful and cutthroat at times, especially when it comes to serious topics like these. And I think that, yes, she issued an apology. I think ABC News was in the right for suspending her. I think, just because she's Whoopi Goldberg, everybody loves Whoopi. She still needs to be accounted for, and she does probably need to take some time to maybe dig deeper into, what the Holocaust actually was, and maybe just further her intellect when it comes to this, because we're talking about mass extermination. We're talking about Nazis killing 6 million Jews. So regardless of if it's a white on white thing, what the fact of the matter is, this is 6 million people were killed, and it was because they were Jewish. So whether it's white on white people attacking each other, or what have you, it's still something that, like you said, very ignorant. And this comes at a time, Jewish groups are saying that Whoopi's comments were dangerous, and it's just the growing ignorance about the Nazi genocide. And I do want, like we said, Whoopi did apologize, so I do want to share her apology with everybody so that we get all angles of the story. Whoopi said on the show, she had said the next day, I said something that I feel a responsibility for not leaving unexamined because my words upset so many people, which was never my intention, and I understand why now. And for that, I am deeply, deeply grateful, because the information I got was really helpful and helped me understand some different things. I think luckily, a lot of people are a fan of Whoopi, so I don't think, hopefully, people aren't going to cancel her, because I know it's, with cancel culture, it's you might say something in the heat of the moment, or say something without having the time to fully process your thoughts. Even like when we do lives, like being somebody that goes on live and shares their opinion, it's vital that you come with facts, that you come with and it's all about the way you communicate your thoughts and your opinion. Otherwise, you might get yourself into some trouble, unfortunately, like Whoopi did.
Agree, Tyler. And I think that as a mom, especially, we know that everybody makes mistakes. More important than my kids acting perfect is I want them to learn from the mistakes that they do make. So I think Whoopi coming out with this apology, the network standing behind the truth is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to see these figures that we look up to know one that they can make the same kind of mistakes that we do. Any of us, myself included, I have said things out of ignorance that I didn't mean, but even though I didn't mean them or I was trying to do it in a context and I misspoke, I'm still accountable for those. And I need to learn how to accept that I was wrong. I need to be able to apologize. I need to take it upon myself to make it right. And then it's my responsibility to make sure that I don't ever do that again.
Absolutely. I think it's if it becomes a cycle where we're constantly making these mistakes and speaking out of ignorance without thinking, then that is when it becomes an even deeper problem. And I think that I wanna share what Derrick said. Cujo speaks, saying, as a comedian, she is accustomed to walking the line in all things racial. She definitely needs to know what lines not to walk. Some things aren't meant to be joked about ever. Sip and C said, very well said, Tyler. Agree, 100 emoji. Um, I mean, even myself, you've been my friend on social media. There's been some dark moments and some live videos at times, or just some real mean and hateful posts as far as like statuses go that even myself have posted. Speaking not in the, just venting or just putting my thoughts out there into the universe and not taking the time to really think about my words and how it impacts other people or even the way that I'm portrayed on social media. It takes one person to see that, and I think it's just important to be very aware and alert at all times when sharing our thoughts, especially on like platforms such as this.
Absolutely.
That being said, our next topic, I'm excited to hear your thoughts, and I actually read one of the books that is being banned in a lot of different school districts and states. So this story coming to us from NBC News. A Texas school is banning a record number of books. I think like the list of books is like 50 different books. Basically, conservative parents are they're going to school board meetings in Texas and all across the country, basically calling for the removal of library books that deal with race, racism, sex, gender, and sexuality. Um, some parents are even like taking it full on and like filing documents, filling out paperwork to formally challenge the appropriateness of library books and forcing school administrators to review them. One book in particular, and I didn't grab it, but I wanted to grab it with you so that you know that I read the book. It's called All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, and one of his book is on the list of books that are being banned. And it was flagged by a group of Katy school parents because of its alleged descriptions of molestation and sex between men. Um, Basically, the author, George M. Johnson, he had told NBC News, they can remove our books, but they cannot remove our stories. They don't want their students reading about queer people. My book is not being put out there to excite students about sex. So basically, in the book, George shares his story and his upbringing and his struggles with being a person of color who is within the LGBTQ plus community. And I the news report mentioned directly to one of the parents and the reporter asked one of the parents that are a part of these groups, it's kind of funny, like, isn't it kind of interesting that all of these books pretty much focus on the subjects of LGBTQ, like with the characters identifying within that community, or just it seems to me that it's not about what they're saying it is. It's about the fact that it's LGBTQ.
Yeah, I think when certain groups of people want to ban books, they're going to give whatever excuse they can possibly give to get these books off the shelves. And it's not just LGBTQ plus books that they're targeting. Book bans have been going on for ages. Books that I read in school, like The Giver, has been banned. Bridge of Terabithia, James and the Giant Peach,
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Where's Waldo books. Where's Waldo books have been banned. The Lorax, all of these books that I loved as a child. And I'm from a generation where we had unlimited access to books. I was reading Stephen King a lot sooner than I probably should have been, and I turned out great. I don't think there's any studies to show that reading books that are targeting the queer community are going to make you any more or less queer. I don't think any books that are targeting the Holocaust are going to make you any more or less racist, or all of the only thing that these books are going to do is create empathy from groups of people who maybe aren't exposed to these topics in their home life, in their school life, in their communities.
Absolutely, and I think it's back to I think the revolving circle is back to these are topics that we need to discuss. I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent or when I am a parent down the road, I want to see books that have characters with two gay dads, or books about transgender people. And my kids will be fully aware of gender pronouns, and we need to have these conversations. And yes, easier to turn a blind eye and focus on something else that's not as quote unquote taxing, if you will. But that's just it's bad enough that the school districts aren't teaching us necessarily the truth when it comes to history, and what it's kind of sugar coated and picked, and they're teaching us what they want to teach us. These topics, I'm like, it's Friday.
It's difficult, and I'm going to come back to the mom part again. You can try and ban books, but kids are pretty smart. They're going to get around everything. For instance, TikTok is not something that my children are allowed to do, but I found out the other day, because my child sent me a TikTok, you can find TikToks on YouTube. So it's there's a workaround for anything. And when we were kids, the older generation is going to try and take our stuff away, and that just makes us push back harder. And as older folks, we need to speak up for these kids. We do not want a generation of children or communities of children who don't have access to this information, who grow into adults not knowing the disparity that has happened before they were born, not knowing their history, not knowing about the people that they're going to work with or go to college with as adults. It's setting them up for a really difficult time to navigate in the society that they're expected to navigate in. Even if you are a parent and you do not agree with any of this, even if you want to ban all of these books, the truth is that if you have a child who is going to be an adult, they are going to be exposed to people who are not like them. They are going to be exposed to people who have different views as them. And just like me as a parent, I'm teaching my children about racism, about things that we don't advocate for, things that we disagree with. They need to still know about that stuff. I'm not going to send them into the world thinking, that everything is sugar-coated and perfect. We need to have diversity. We need to have different perspectives. We need to have different voices if we want to, in any capacity, try to be a decent human in this world today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mindy, thank you so much for sharing your insight from a parent's perspective. Glad to know that there are parents out here that are willing to have these tough, at times, conversations with their children. Now, on a mental health note, um, unfortunately, I wanted to bring this up and pay our respects to Chesley Christ, 30 years old, Miss USA winner from 2019. Also, if you watch the entertainment show, she was a correspondent for them as well. According to USA Today, Christ jumped from a Manhattan apartment building and was pronounced dead on the scene. A little tie-in to here in Michigan. She was actually born in Jackson, Michigan, and survived by her mother, four brothers, and one sister. They moved from Michigan to Charlotte, North Carolina, before ultimately settling in South Carolina. I want to pay our respects to her and her family, as well as give her recognition, and as you would pay her flowers, because she also, not only was she, did she win the 2019 Miss USA competition, but she also, a lot of people only know her from like Miss USA and Extra TV. She also, I lost my train of thought. She became licensed to practice law in both North and South Carolina, and she also practiced complex civil litigation. She worked pro bono for clients who were low-level drug offenders and founded the White Collar Glam, which is a fashion blog dedicated to helping women dress professionally in white-collar jobs. So she, not only was she on TV, but she was also out here making a difference. And it's important to highlight those accomplishments that she was able to do within her life while she was here. It's another. I read a statement from her mom, that came out a couple days after this tragedy occurred, and her mom said that her daughter was privately suffering with high functioning depression, and her mom, April, she strongly urges anyone struggling with thoughts of suicide to contact the National Suicide Prevention Line, Lifeline, and that phone number is 1-800-273-8255. Once again, that's 1-800-273-8255. Being somebody that has contemplated suicide and in the past and has struggled with anxiety and depression and mental health, it's something that I strongly advocate for, as you do as well. So I wanted to make sure that we took a moment to reflect and once again bring awareness, because it's just not, I know we've been sharing opinions all day, and sometimes I promise the show's not always heavy topics, but it's important to have these conversations and have the right guest co-hosts that are willing to have these conversations with you. But once again, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline phone number is 1-800-273-8555. We're also going to put that number in the show's description. So when you all watch the show later on Instagram or YouTube, we'll have those on our social medias for you all to have at your discretion, as well as the Trevor Project 24-hour youth line, which is 866-488-7386. And then there's also a transgender lifeline, which is 877-565-8860. I know we're throwing out a whole bunch of numbers and digits at you all, and you're probably like me, just drinking coffee and just waking up. So we'll make sure that we have those posted up on our Facebook, as well as tiestaketoday.com and Instagram and YouTube. But I wanted to, if people are looking to pay their respects to Chesley, you all can, her mom is asking people to consider making a donation to Dress for Success, which is an organization that was very dear to Chesley's heart.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of us know people who have passed on due to suicide. It's an important topic. We have to be able to support each other. We need to know how to look for signs. The CDC has some great resources about depression statistics, suicide statistics, and please, if you are depressed, if you know anybody that you suspect has been depressed and is not kind of coming out of it, the best thing that we can do to support them is to get them the help and services they need.
Absolutely, and I think it's also very important, and this is me speaking personally, over the past year, I have been advocating strongly for mental health resources and I want to also tell you all, like, that whole stigma between in regards to, you know, um, the way you're looked at if you seek therapy or mental health services. Let's completely break that stigma. Myself, actually, I'm actually going to be starting therapy very soon. So on my platform, you're going to hear me be very vulnerable and open. Because I used to work at Target. I'll share this story really quickly, but I specifically predominantly in like the Starbucks inside the Target, and every day, and then people would ask me, "Oh, how are you? How's your day going?" And I feel like a lot of times we're under this impression that we have to be like, "It's great," and like just put on that fake. I used to call it the Target smile, because here I am working at Target, working all these long hours, making coffee, working and resetting aisles, and just doing different things at Target. And no offense to Target, because I love Target. You'll catch me shopping in the candle aisle, the book aisle, and wine. But I used to, for the longest, always just put up that facade and be like, "Oh, I'm good. Life's great." But little do you know, like, I didn't get home until 2 o'clock a.m., because I was doing DJing right when I left here. Like, and that's where my passion is. My passion isn't working in retail. But so I call it the Target smile. But I think it's important that because you see, if you watch Extra or if you see photos in her entertainment stories online, Chesley was also like, she just seemed like full of energy, full of positivity, always smiling. But I think it's important to, check on your friends, check on your family, check on your loved ones. Because even if somebody seems to be happy and life is great, that's could be an indicator that maybe something actually is wrong deeper.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing. Don't I try not to think of mental health as something being wrong because it gets me in a different headspace. But none of us are perfect. All of us can be better. I've had a therapist for years now. I have a special needs child who also is a therapist, and it's nothing but positivity. Even if I'm not I don't think I'm in a bad headspace, it's great to have just a person who's outside of your life to help celebrate your successes with. There's nobody can take is 100% perfect at dealing with stress. These are people who that's all they do is just help you live your life better. There's no shame in the game. There's lots of free services out there. Lots of insurances pay for therapy. And if you have an insurance that covers it, take advantage. Even if you don't feel like you need it, it's going to help your life. It can help you be a better friend, a better mom, a better dad, sister, brother, everything. It's not going to do anything except make your life easier to navigate. And who doesn't want that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nothing but positive vibes is what I'm hearing. Derrick chiming in once again, Cujo_speaks, saying, whenever someone in customer service asks, "Hi, how are you?" I answer, "Terrible." It makes them laugh and usually opens them up enough to tell me how they're truly feeling. It works. I like that. I like that. So yeah, I'll tell you now, like, I'll be like, I didn't get no sleep. I got a million and one things going through a whole bunch of different projects. Like, there's a lot going on. Um, Mindy, thank you so much. Crazy to believe that that's the end of our show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're more than welcome to join us anytime. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for, I think, I can never make the heart. You get it. Trying to be cute. Yes, get a screenshot. We're doing it again so we can screenshot it. And perfect. All right. So I want to thank you so much again for joining us and bringing your perspective and take to the table. Also, thank you to Cujo_speaks, my homie Derrick checking in. If you all are looking for some local talent to listen to, you guys can download the 9397 Network app on Google Play or in your Apple store. Derrick and Princess will be on the Good Time Show Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So download the app. 9397 Network. We're going to post the links to where you can get those resources, those phone numbers for mental health services, as well as the link to punch in your zip code and see what contaminants are in your water in your community, and then, like I said, use your voice. Use your voice. The whole end-all theme for today's episode is take your opinions, your thoughts, your take, and make a difference.